Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie and today I am back with an original tag. This one is both Harry Potter themed and Christmas themed, so I named it the Harry Potter Christmas book tag. If you're new to my channel, welcome and thank you so much for watching my videos. If you want to see more from me, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon so you can be alerted when I post new videos. But yeah, let's jump right into this tag. This is the first original tag that I've ever done, I've ever made up by myself, so I'm very excited about it. This tag is themed around the presents that Harry received throughout the 7 books. Well, actually kind of 6. He didn't really receive presents in the 7th, but all the prompts are going to be based off of presents that he received, and we are going to do 12 prompts because 12 just seems to kind of go with Christmas. I think the song might have something to do with that, but let's jump right into the tag. I hope you guys like it. The first present is, of course, the Invisibility Cloak that he received from Dumbledore that was actually a family heirloom that was passed down to him. So the prompt that goes along with this is a book that you read with your family or that your family also read and you have discussed it together. Now this can be just one member of your family. This can also be your online family if your biological family doesn't read books with you. So it's really loose. Interpret it as you will. And the book that I chose is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a prequel book to the Lord of the Rings series, and I am reading it with my husband right now, and I know that my sister is also reading it with her family at this time. I'm not sure how far into it they are. I know that my eldest sister has read it and my mother has read it as well. So this is definitely a book that my family has read. We have discussed. I love this book. It's amazing. I think it's such a fun book to read as a family, especially if your family loves fantasy, like mine does. The next present is a single tissue, which is the all-time low present that Harry received from the Dursleys. So the prompt that goes along with this one is a book that you didn't have that high of expectations for to begin with, and yet it still disappointed you. Which, I mean, honestly, how can you not really be disappointed with a tissue, even if it is the Dursleys? My book that fits that prompt is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I had been hearing a lot of mixed reviews for this book, and a lot of people that I have similar tastes with didn't really enjoy this book, so going into it, I didn't have that high of expectations, and yet I still found it a little dull, and it was really hard for me to finish it. And I think the only reason I did finish it is because I was reading it with a friend, and so I felt like I had to finish it. So Sorcery of Thorns, not that high of expectations, still a little bit of a disappointment. The next present kind of gets me in the feels a little bit, I'm gonna be honest, and that is a portrait of Harry that was drawn for him by Dobby. Oh, so cute. The prompt that goes along with this is a book that you see yourself in one of the characters, or a book that kind of you connect with on a personal level. And for that one, I chose Beauty by Robin McKinley. I love the Belle, well, I guess she calls herself Beauty. I love Beauty in this book. I feel like I connect with her really well. She is just a normal girl. She doesn't really have anything super special about her, but she's a book nerd. She loves to read. She loves her family. She is just trying to be a good person, and I feel like that's kind of where I am at as well. I love books. I love my family, and I try to be a good person, but I'm really not, you know, one of those crazy, I have magical powers, I'm actually the chosen one kind of special person. So I definitely connect with the beauty in this one. The next present is actually one of my favorites that was given in the books. I thought it was hilarious, and that is the homework planner that Hermione gave to Harry in the 5th year to help him prepare for his OWLs that he really didn't use. I thought it was just the most obnoxious gift she could have given him, but so Hermione. So the prompt that goes along with this is a character in a book that was so obnoxious that it almost or did ruin the book for you. For this one, I chose a book that has a character in it that I think is just so obnoxious, so annoying. I can't stand him, and I actually did not enjoy the entire book because I disliked that character so much and that is A Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I know this is a classic, but I think the main character is so not relatable. I don't know anyone who acts like that, and I think his name is Holden Caulfield. He is just so obnoxious. I couldn't stand him, and so since the whole book was just about him going about and doing annoying, obnoxious things, I did not enjoy the book either. So Holden Caulfield ruined this book, which it was all about him, so not surprising, right? This next present actually was given to Harry pre-books being written, but it is talked about in the books, and I just think it is such a horrid present that it had to be included in this, and that is the box of Dog Biscuits from his Aunt Marge. Keep in mind that at the same time as she gave him Dog Biscuits, she gave Dudley a computerized robot, so it's not like she doesn't know how to give good presents. This was just mean. The prompt that goes along with this is a book that you could not finish no matter how hard you tried. Because let's be honest, no matter how hard Harry tried, there's no way he's eating those Dog Biscuits. That's gross. For that, I chose Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. I started this book several times and I never finished it. I actually don't know if I even got like 50 pages in. I don't enjoy this book. It's very hard to read, I think. I think a lot of it is just the style that it's written in. It doesn't really appeal to me. I'm sure it's a great story. I should just look up the Cliff Notes and get the story from there, but I just can't make myself read the book. The next present is one of the coolest presents Harry ever received, in my opinion, and that is the Marauders Map that was given to him by the twins, Fred and George Weasley, of course. This present's prompt, can't say that 3 times fast, is a book that didn't have the greatest cover, but underneath the story was amazing. And that one for me is The Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, look at this cover. It's pretty lame. Honestly, I never would have chosen this book just because of the cover, but it was a book that I had to read for school, and I am so glad that I did, because this book is one of my absolute favorites of all time. Now, this one actually is the abridged version, and after I read this one, I jumped right in, grabbed the unabridged one, which is over 1,000 pages, and read that because I love this book so much. The Count of Monte Cristo, I think, is my absolute all-time favorite classic book. It is amazing, but honestly, the cover does not do the story justice at all. I mean, if any of you have read it, you gotta back me up on this. This cover, they really could have done a lot better things with it. The next present is from Hermione, and no shocker, it's a book, and it is Quidditch Teams of Britain and Ireland, which, as we all know, Harry loves Quidditch, so this is actually an amazing present from her. So the prompt that goes along with that is a book that is about something that you are passionate about, and that can be anything that you're passionate about. It could be music or sports or anything that you feel strongly about, you're passionate about, and you really care about. And for me, probably no shocker to anyone who knows me at all, that is books and bookstores and libraries and anywhere that has books. Really, I'm pretty much obsessed. So I chose The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, I believe is how you say his name. This is also one of my all-time favorite books. I love this story. It drew me in and it was so intriguing. I couldn't put this book down. It is amazing. I found it at this little secondhand bookshop in Washington, D.C. when I was walking around and waiting for my flight, and I am so lucky I did. It's just such a good book, and the majority of it is about books. In a way, this boy is taken by his father to a cemetery of lost books and is able to pick out one book for himself that he gets to keep. He chooses The Shadow of the Wind, and then he reads it, loves it, wants to read more by the author, finds out that all those books by the author have been destroyed, and it's a lot about him trying to solve this mystery. And also, he and his father run a bookstore as well, so you get hit with it double in this book, and I absolutely love it. I love books about books. It's kind of one of my tropes. I don't know, but that's not necessarily a trope. It's an atmosphere that I am almost always there for. And of course, we couldn't get through this list without adding a present on there that Harry received from Hagrid, because Hagrid just gives the cutest little gifts ever. And the one that I decided to throw in there was the wallet, the furry wallet that Hagrid gave him that had fangs on the outside, which is supposedly to, help protect your money, but it also makes it impossible to get your money in there in the first place. The prompt that goes along with that one is a book that was hard for you to get into. So this one, you can go two ways with it. You can choose a book that was hard for you to get into, so you decide to DNF it, or you can choose a book that was hard for you to get into, but then you ended up loving. I decided to go with the latter option, and the book that matches that prompt for me is Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. I struggle getting into high fantasy books the majority of the time, to be honest. It feels like a lot of work for me to be reading a book at the beginning that you're learning all about the world and the magic system and the politics and everything that you need to know to really get into the book and to understand what's going on, because this is a different world than our own, so we have to learn that, and there's magic in it, and the politics here are different. Like, everything in here is not something that we would just intuitively know, because it's not the same as our world. But once I get into these high fantasy books, I usually absolutely love them, and that is how it was with Wizard's First Rule. This is an amazing book, and if you are trying to get into this series, which it's really, really long, just forewarning, this series is long and the books are long, like everything about it is just long. Just push through, get into it. The beginning feels kind of exciting, honestly, but it still is hard for me to get into when I'm trying to learn a world. So that's how I felt about Wizard's First Rule. The next present is probably one of the most iconic presents that Harry received throughout his years, and that is the Firebolt that was a gift from his godfather, Sirius Black. The prompt that accompanies this is a book that you flew through. See what I did there? And that one, my book, is The Golem and the Genie by Helen Wecker, and I flew through this book. It seriously took me hardly any time to read it. I think I read it in a day, and it was just so captivating. I absolutely love this book. It's a kind of historical urban fantasy book, and it was perfect for me. This is the type of book that I absolutely love. So if you have other books like this one that you could recommend to me, definitely leave it down below in the comments, because yeah, I love this book. I went through it so fast I couldn't put it down. The next present is another one from Hermione. I think I might be a little biased towards her presents, but not sorry. And that is the Luxury Eagle Feather Quill that she gives to Harry. The prompt that goes along with this one is the most beautiful book that you own. For me, that has to be my copy of Arabian Nights. Just look at this. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's intricate. There's so much detail to it. The back is gorgeous as well. It has these beautiful gold sprayed edges. Ooh, quite reflective as well. Has artwork in here on the end pages, as well as having some artwork scattered throughout the book. It's just beautiful. This was actually a Christmas present from my husband last year, and I love it. It is gorgeous. I honestly haven't read it, but I really like looking at it. One of the worst presents that I think Harry ever received, like ever, was the maggots that he received from his house elf creature in the 6th book. Where did he even get that many maggots to ship them on off to Harry? I mean, that takes work. You're dedicated to really disliking someone at that point. And the prompt that goes with this one is a book that you would only recommend to your worst enemy. For me, that book is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. While we're in a Harry Potter tag where we're talking about J.K. Rowling's most iconic and amazing books, I am going to say how much I actually dislike one of her other books that she has written. This is a contemporary book that was written by J.K. Rowling after she wrote the Harry Potter series. It's really long, and it was really hard for me to make myself finish, but I did. And I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't understand the point of it, because the thing that I assumed was going to be important, because you know that's what they talk about on the back, really wasn't that important when it was resolved. It was just kind of done and no one cared, and it wasn't really resolved in a way that I cared about. They skipped between a lot of different characters, and none of them, I didn't enjoy any of their perspectives. I didn't like any of the characters, and I didn't really like any of the plots that were going on throughout the story as well. It just seemed a little bit pointless. It was really, really difficult for me to read this book. The last present that I'm sure all of you have been waiting for me to mention is the sweater and homemade treats that Mrs. Weasley gives to Harry every year for Christmas. And the prompt that goes along with this is a book that gives you all the happy, warm feels, just like you get whenever you see Harry opening or read about Harry opening his gifts from Mrs. Weasley. And for this one, I chose Stardust by Neil Gaiman because reading this book, you almost just feel happy all the time, even when they're kind of following the bad guys. They're talking about the bad things happening. It's in a happy-go-lucky type way that you're just in an upbeat, good mood throughout the whole book, which is very unique. I don't know many authors that can pull that off, but you know, Neil Gaiman is amazing. I think this story is so sweet and so cute and heartwarming, and it just makes you love the character in it. Well, the two main characters. It's a beautiful story. It brings on all the good feels, and that concludes my book tag. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you liked it. And now is the point where I will tag a few people. I've decided I will tag 7 people to go with the 7 Harry Potter books. The people that I've decided to tag are The Wild Sasha, Bookish Therese, Violet and the Never-Ending TBR, Gryffindor Bookworm, Donna Sundoku, Book Roast, and Lost in a Bookcase. So if any of you guys are watching and you feel like doing this tag, please do. And honestly, anyone who wants to do this tag, consider yourself tagged by me. You can say I tagged you for sure. I want anyone who wants to do it to do it because I love doing tags, and you know, I don't always get tagged. So definitely, if you want to do it, do it. It's so much fun. I loved making this for you guys, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.